Welcome back to Renault 5 Rebuild. This mini feature movie is a combination of some of our previous videos on the engine from removal all the way to perfection.
So, there's the main engine block. Right at the front here, got the intercooler. That's got to go first. Radiator and alternator.
That's fine. Probably feel it start slipping out in a minute. There you go.
Whoa.
So then that can slide backwards. And that means there's no tension on that joint.
Right. Intercooler was here. There we go. Yeah, it's a bit greasy. So yeah, intercooler was there. Ooh, we've got power tools. And now it's here.
Bit of a large on here, please.
Yeah.
Right. I think we'll just do, even though I'm going to take it out as a complete thing. And then it's much easier to deal with it afterwards. Right. Left hand brake assembly.
Thank you. I'll put a label that in a minute.
WD?
No.
You haven't got any WD? Is this going to be child friendly? Because it's not going to be soon, I tell you. If you haven't got any WD-40.
I'll go get some.
You said you were going to spray all the on me, yeah?
After receiving some abuse from my brother, the next thing was to remove the alternator.
There you go, there's your alternator.
Yeah!
Does it work?
That's a good point. Right.
Awesome.
Is that it? Is it out?
That's it. Well, everything should be
Should be.
right.
First things first, be told, strip the auxiliaries, strip off all the bits on here that do not need to be on here. Right, see if it'll come out now. Hey, look, there we go. Right, there we go. Right, now this, we think,
Oh crap, just leaking oil everywhere.
go. Yeah, I did that. After making a hell of a mess, we decided to remove the carb.
It's actually loose.
There we go. There's the washers, that's fine.
I just.
There we go.
Football.
There you
I haven't
go.
been told
There's
to.
your carbon inlet manifold. Right, there you go.
Yes!
There's your turbo.
Finally, hold on.
So in this video, primarily we'll be looking at the cooling system. That is the radiator here, the water pump on the side here. The intercooler's already gone, that went off in one of the previous videos. Right, let's get on with this. Look on the side here, there are a couple of tubes that I have to disconnect here. So I need to do this one at the bottom here. It was already quite loose in the first place. And then also the hose here, which connects the radiator to the water pump. The water pump's the thing on the side here. This thing here is the water pump. Right, let's get this this radiator off and water pump next. Right, water pump. I believe there's 6 bolts here, and then there is a hidden 7th one just in here. That should take off the water pump. There's a water pump. A crusty water pump. Looking empty now, isn't it? Almost there. Then, it's the gearbox. First step for us today is removing the gearbox housing, which is this part of the engine here. So what size nut was that one, Ims?
16.
16, awesome. So where's that one? Been undone here. It's the 3rd one. Okay. So far we have had to undo one from here, 3rd one down there. It's 3. It's going well. So that was the gearbox all out, which is awesome. So yeah, we're being a bit dodgy by attaching the engine to an engine crane like this, but we need to see what we're doing. Final thing we want to take off now is the clutch plate down here, and then we get it on the engine stand. Yeah. Did you see his fin?
Yeah, I saw it. But if you hit it at the end, it's given.
It's a clutch plate. That's how you take your clutch out. Big test. Done! Yes!
When I bought the little Renault 5, I always knew I was going to have to strip down the engine. So, first of all, took off the rocker cover, and then started taking apart the rocker shaft.
Yes. Right. We think it's going to lift straight off there.
That's what it says in the book. Right.
There we go. Rocker shaft assembly is out. Really pleased I didn't crack anything, because I believe they're quite easy to damage.
Ah, yeah, that moves. Okay. I say as to pivot, I think that's pivoted.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Wow. Job done.
There's a fair amount of carbon build-up here. Like I've always said, I am no expert. I would guess it's got to have a bit of carbon, but I would probably say that's probably excessive. Still oil pump. And we have 3 bolts at the top. 1, 2, 3. We're going to take off, and then you can have a look inside.
So I can hold it. Go on. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. It's 'cause it's
Just get you one of these.
because it's seized.
If the hub is tight, carefully lever it off with 2 screwdrivers.
Just goes bonk and it's been replaced.
Straight in the mush. That moved.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Easy. And do the bolts, the nuts and bolts,
Yep.
securing the timing cover to the cylinder block.
Yeah, you're alright now. Nothing's connected. Just pull it all out.
Here it goes. Ready?
We then pulled out the cam carefully, and in another video sent it off to Piper Cams who reground it.
Right, so the next one
Yeah.
is liners, pistons, and connecting rods, con rods
Yeah.
removal.
Although the idea of removing the pistons and the con rods was initially extremely daunting, actually, you know what? After a while, wasn't too bad.
There's one.
There's one. That one doesn't look as bad as the other ones that came out, but doesn't look great.
It looks like it's burnt. I like this and just show how much of a mess in here. So you've got a good mixture there of oil and water.
Next, removing the crankshaft.
Oh, fucking hell, that's heavy.
What fell? Your
That was a bit heavier than I thought. Hi everybody, how you doing on a road trip today, which is quite good, outside the actual garage, which is awesome, in someone else's garage. So I'm here today at MJO's to pick up the block and the head. Both of them being chemical dipped, which is cool, and also the head's going to be skimmed. So let's head in.
The chemical dipping process involved fully submersing the engine parts for evening in a decarbonating chemical substance that removed all the traces of muck and impurities from the immediate surface of the block and the head, followed by a good wash and putting in the oven for good measure. Once treated, the engine parts were left gleaming. After a good old clean, we turned our attention to the cylinder head. Cylinder head skimming, also known as resurfacing, is a process that creates a flat surface in the cylinder head, basically to help prevent future failure and also to ensure that there's a good seal. Aaron at MJO, who actually did the work, was quite surprised at how flat the head was in the first place, being it came from a 1988 Renault 5. However, he did say, if you're ever rebuilding an engine and the head's off, you really got to get it re-skimmed.
After the machine work was complete, it was ready to go back in the oven. Toasty! This was to make sure there wasn't any little bits of metal left in the head. Plus, it looks pretty cool for YouTube.
Finally, Aaron gave it a good old dry with an airline, again removing any swarf that was stuck in any of the ports.
The block and the head, don't they look different? Absolutely amazing. So yeah, one nice clean block, home, that mounts back into the stand. Next step is painting it. I'm not going to show you the whole process because we're just painting and the whole video about painting up things. So let's get this thing prepped. That took longer than I thought. Even change the t-shirt, always another day. Masked it all off, top, bottom, all the screw holes and everything like that. It was an absolute mission. Quick tip, if anyone's doing this, once you actually masked it, grab yourself a blade, razor blade. And if you just run it along the edge, you get nice clean lines, hopefully anyway. So, as previously said in a lot of the in the last painting episode, it's all about prep. So this has taken ages. Hopefully that means we get a good result. Right. And paint. Here we go. One fully painted block. Matte black, like I said. It's gonna be quite fun taking these off. Quite therapeutic, I expect, but it's still slightly damp, so I don't want to be touching it right now. There we go. And whilst I was here with some spare paint, I thought, why not just start painting this. The first part I'm going to install is the crankshaft and main bearings. So I've got the backs or the bearing shells all aligned, nicely cleaned up, 1 to 5 like that. These were the old bearings which came out, so I need to grab the new ones that I previously bought. Checked all the bolts, they're all looking good, and I flipped the engine over. So start putting it into here. So you know me, I don't mind admitting when I don't know what I'm really doing. Most of this project is the case. But I'm following Haynes Owner's Workshop manual for most of this rebuild. So yeah, all the steps that I follow will be in here. The backs itself here, it just says make sure these are nice and clean, which they are, they're super clean. So the first step is putting the ones without the holes into these, into the backs, I think they call them. Yeah, look at that, I'm learning. And the ones with the holes into the actual block it's there. Here we go. So as you can see, one new bearing shell. One. Let's do the rest. Just the final one. Good. Step 1, done. Next part, put the bearing shells into the cylinder block. First time I'm actually putting anything back onto here, so not that I'm nervous in any way. As you can see, the acid dipping process did a really good job cleaning all this up. Okay, here we go. Here we go again. The next step is basically to put the crankshaft into the actual engine. First thing first, lubricate all the shells nicely. One crankshaft in the engine. Okay, so a slight schoolboy error there. The caps, I can't remember which way you put them in. I obviously want to do it the right way around. However, for anyone else as daft as myself, there's actually locators. I'm going to call them locators. So the number 3 has only got one locator here. And when you look at the engine, there's actually obviously one way you can actually fit it. So I know, because of number 3, they all fit like this. So the number 3, in this case, is this way round. So because of that, they all should line up. So I'm going to start that. So that is a crankshaft and main bearing sets. Done. It's the first part. Enjoyable. Next part, pistons. So next step is removing the rods from the pistons, which involves pushing the pin out. I gave it a go, and yeah, that wasn't ideal. I actually damaged one of them, so I had to ask my dad to help. So we're in Dad's machine shop today. I'm going to go to the machine shop, and he helped me get this one out properly without damaging it. So we're going to do it with the rest of them, these ones. So that's what we're going to do now. So what we actually found was this side has got, where was it? Yeah, this side here, it's got like a lip. This side has not, which means that you've got to press, obviously, from this side through to get out to this side.
No, other way around.
Other way around. You got to press from this side over to this side. And there's the pin. So we're thinking about turning these, cleaning them up, and turn them into some cups. So if anyone wants to see a video of us actually machining these, I say we, me, no, not me, my dad, I expect, machining these out and actually putting a glass cup in it, make it a mug or something. I've seen a few of those online, so I thought that could be quite cool. Oh, this will get something stuck on me.
You alright?
Yeah. Just being old and clumsy.
You're old and clumsy.
I said. Oh, between us, we're old and clumsy.
Right.
First things first, putting the liners in. See so that these are flat on one side. There we go. So liners. They're slightly different than the old liners, don't they? It's the old liner. The scoring and everything, and then they're the new ones. The rings here, basically the idea is that you don't align the gaps on all of them. You should make sure they're separated. Did you know that?
Yeah.
No, you did. Right. The top of these pistons actually have an arrow. Can you see it? There we go. And it says that the arrow needs to face the flywheel, which is down this end. So when it goes in, it has to go like that. Arrow, flywheel.
I'm not sure how you're going to do this all one-handed.
Huh? Well, it's lucky. I've got two people. Okay, so this goes over there.
Yeah, right over the top.
Like that. And pull it tight, and then tap it slowly. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Again.
One piston in. video, I bought new valves. Only issue with the new valves is the actual seat here is really super shiny. So what you have to do is you have to lap them in, So to do that, you have to use some grinding paste. This sort of thing. With one of these sort of things. Get your valve. Get a bit of coarse paste. And then what you have to do is place the valve in. Now the valve's obviously going to pop out the bottom. So you have to hang it off the table slightly, like that. So now you've got the grinding paste in next to the valve and the actual seat. So you have to get your little dudgeon flip, at the end, and then whack it on. Hear all the almost sandy noise there. And then it's a case of light a fire or grind a valve. Right, now if you look at the edge, it's no longer super shiny. You can see where it started to grind in. So you then flip to the fine. And the reason you're doing this is really to ensure that there's a good seal between the valve and the head. See this? So it's almost like a dull colour. Perfect. And that is a case of lapping. Simple as that. The only final trick, really, is to make sure you remember which valve beats which hole. Just don't forget to label these. So we're actually going to start building out the cylinder head itself. So that's where we're actually going to put our brand new valves, which we've already ground in for each inlet. Does that make sense? Don't know if it does.
I think it does.
Anyway.
I don't really know what you're talking about anyway.
So we're going to put the new valves in, and we're also going to put the new springs. So let me just grab my box of tricks. So each one of the valves that we have pre-ground, labelled it so we know where they're actually going to go into the cylinder head. I've got the old ones here for sentimental value, I guess, with the previous springs there, and also the thrust washer and the collets at the top. So these are the uprated springs. These are the original springs. So you can see there is quite a lot more tension in this one than this one. So there we go. Yeah. What we do also have to get out is the compression tool. So this tool is used to compress the actual springs. So first things first, lubrication, bit of assembly lube. And then this is the thrust washer. So that goes over there. And then followed by the spring and the retainer. Ping. So you have to tighten this with the retainer on it and then add your collets on the end. Sort out the compression tool again. Right. So if you actually hold the end of the tool, this part here, you can then turn. But I wasn't holding it previously. I was holding this part, which meant this was spinning and therefore scoring the back of the actual valve, and therefore getting upset myself and ending up buying brand new valves, which I probably didn't need to do again. Well, I did, because they were scored and damaged. So if I keep going with this,
Yeah, you can see it's kind of going inwards that way.
Hopefully we keep going, and then you will see. Whoa, that's tight. Okay, see there's multiple grooves there. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so that is where the collets have to go. God blimey. Anyone got smaller hands?
Me.
Bet that is that. Because that is how they went on. See, in theory, they should slot in there.
Did it work?
We did it! Yeah!
There is.
Yes! Guys, doesn't that look amazing?
That's awesome. It's like the first valve in there. Oh, I'm so pleased with that.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling really excited.
Yeah, we're actually getting to the
Because
fun part.
it was something I've never done. I'm chuffed. I am really, really pleased with that.
Yeah, so good.
It hasn't flown off or anything like that.
So now we have is
I've only got to do
bunch
2,
more.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more like that.
7.
7 more.
You're acting like that's nothing.
Wow.
Oh, well, you're a pro
I'm
now.
a pro now.
No. Pro.
Number 2.
Pro.
She knows how to build an engine head. How old are you?
11. My birthday was like 10 days ago.
11-year-old knows how to build an engine head. You see that? Anyone can do this
How?
if they want to do this.
We did it, guys. Oh my gosh. After
High five!
literally 40 minutes.
Proud dad moment. Boom. Just did it together. Built the head of the Renault 5. So there we go.
That.
So that has the Piper uprated springs on the lovely cleaned head by MJA, who cleaned that, acid dipped it in the first place, and
Well done,
there we
Andy.
go, and actually skimmed the head, and all the nice new valves there from CGB. Bob sent us some valves, so it's a teamwork, that is, makes the dream work. But there we go. Yeah, 1 step forward, 2 back, kind of a kick in the stomach. Done. So today we are going to be putting in the Piper cam, or the cam there. We're also going to sort out the timing. Now, the timing scares me slightly. The last thing I want to do is spend all this time, which I have spent some serious amount of time on this engine already. Started out the first time here, an explosion from underneath the bonnet. It's not what I want. So I've called in reinforcements. Right, I can start this on my own now, hopefully. It was a bit of an anticlimax, really. It was just slotting into the side of the engine and doing up a couple of bolts. And then we fitted the original pulley to work out where top dead centre was. Try my best here to work out where top dead centre is. Top dead centre is basically when your piston's right at the top. So when you're trying to do the timing, you've got to ensure that you actually know where top dead centre is to make sure you get the timing correctly. Got a little gauge here. As you turn it, you can actually see that this little thing goes down and it tells you that it's no longer being touched. So if you just keep going, you actually see the piston going back up. Here we go. You'll see it spin. Okay. As we get closer and closer and closer to the top, you actually see it hit 0. And you know you're bang at the top. So that top dead centre. As the piston goes up, it will pause at the top slightly for a very short amount of time, and it will drop. Okay. And I think that it's about 2 degrees. Slightly nervous now. I'm going to put the head on this. Before I put the head on, I've got to put the followers in. So the followers actually go down these holes here. Okay, so if you have a look down there, there we go, there's your cam. So as the cam rises, the followers will lift, and then they'll push the push rods. Hey, I am learning. Right, time to put the followers in first, and then put the head on. Time to put the head on top of the block. First thing you've got to do though, put the gasket in place. Conveniently, it tells you which one's the top. But at the same time, if you actually pop it on, you'll find there's an obvious, it's pretty obvious you got it right. Right, and then head on, and then you've got to tighten these in a certain order. So the order, actually, according to the manual, is a certain order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this being the flywheel. So that is this end here. Right, I'm just going to go for it. Okay, done up all these bolts nice and lightly. Torque spec according to the Haynes manual is 44 foot-pound, 60 Newton meters. This is make or break, because as soon as you tighten this, your gasket is done. It's on. So if I've got this wrong, I'm buying a new gasket. What's money? Right. This is number one. First one to be tightened. And you're waiting for a click. Click. Done. And why do we do that? Why are we given an order? Basically to spread the load. If you go and tighten one end, all from one end to the other end, you just could cause some damage actually to the probably to the head, I would expect, because the block is steel, head's aluminium. So it's to spread the load. So there's a recommended order, going to follow the recommended order. After all that working out how to find top dead center, I was reviewing some other YouTube channels, Ignition Advantage being one of the ones that is a bit of a go-to for myself. Really good descriptions how to do this sort of thing for the C1J. When I actually watched some of his videos, he very easily described how to ensure top dead center between your cam and your crank here. Looking for, here you've got a negative, down here you've got a positive. So if you've got both of these lined up, you're at top dead center. So what we're going to do now is switch the pulley here for my vernier pulley, just so if I do need to make any adjustments in time in the future I can, because the vernier pulley is fully adjustable. So I'm going to switch this out. On the actual vernier pulley, you've also got a mark there, which I will ensure lines up with the negative here. So in the future, I'll just have to ensure that this mark there lines up with the positive there. Right, what I just said is not going to work. Let me explain why it's not going to work. So on the actual original one here, the original pulley here, you have a little join here, which means that this mark of the negative is obviously always going to be correct because you have the notch here which goes in there. On my actual vernier pulley here, it again has a nice mark there to ensure that it will sit exactly the same like that. But the thing is, this little notch here is in line, this notch here is actually in line with that notch there, which means that it will sit there to be incorrect. So what I'm going to need to do is on this one here is make a mark where the negative is in line with this. So I can take this off, put this on top of this, make a mark on here to ensure that I know where the negative mark is, and then it can fit on nicely. I do hope you understood that. A lot of messing about. I've managed it at long last, ensuring that there's a straight edge between the cross and my imaginary minus, which was this tooth here. So all good. I was slightly concerned. I really don't want to get the timing wrong, but that should be it. Okay, so the oil pump goes back in here where we took it out previously. I did actually strip down the oil pump and went through checking that the tolerances are correct. The actual Haynes manual was really quite poor with telling me what the tolerances were. However, I found a really good YouTube channel about a guy who's also building a Renault 5, quite old now. But what I'll do is I'll link it to it because he actually talks to you about the actual tolerances between it. I didn't really, to be honest, want to rip off that video. I thought it'd be far better for me just to link it. And thank you very much. I can't actually remember what the channel was called. Sunshine or Seaside. Anyway, thank you very much, chap. You really did help me out here. So I've put in the push rods. Didn't realise these 3 bolts need to go here. And now the rocker shaft assembly goes down, I guess to align it, because I couldn't get it to fit last time. So hopefully this will help sort it out a bit more. A little bit of persuasion is all it took. Then add the bolts and do it all up. Wish I wasn't making this video. Just had an errand around to check some of my workings. I'm sure that it's all been done right because after all, I could easily have made some mistakes. Anyway, the rocker itself, here, I found one of the bolts was slipping whilst tightening, which means I had to take the head off. And I've got to get something called a helicoil to go into the head. So it's a step back, which isn't great. Also means that new gasket required. So slightly disheartened, however, these things happen, I guess. So over at the old man's workshop, we first of all had to drill out the original threads using a hoover to ensure that none of the swarf ends up in the engine. This is a bit of a team effort. My father, the old man himself, and my uncle. Give us a wave, Chris. So the old thread has been removed. And there you see the, I'm not sure what you're going to call it, but the thread cutter. So basically this makes a deeper thread than the helicoil itself. Now, some people are going to be panicking because it's attached to the pillar drill here, but my old man's clever chap. The reason we did this, and as you can see, he's just turning it by hand, is to ensure that this thread cutter is directly going in, rather than going in at an angle. So that's why we've done it like this. Then simply release it from the chuck. At this point, it's all by hand, turning it left and right, ensuring that the swarf is coming out as you're doing it. Pretty lucky to have a chap like this as a father. Now, here comes a helicoil. So a helicoil is slightly smaller in thread size than what's just been drilled out, obviously, so it actually fits. So the kit itself came with this nice little tool you had to attach to it, and as you can see,
you just thread it in. So there we go. The thread is going into the thread to make a thread. Ensure you've got it absolutely perfect. Bit further. Then you're done. And it had this really weird thing that you had to crack in the bottom. What? Like that. And then, of course, that means that is within the engine, so you had to give it shape and out the plot. Perfect. There we go. Fitting a helicoil.
There goes you both.
Yes! Which will no longer slip.
Which will no longer slip.
We hope.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There we go. So helicoil is in there now, as you can see. Now, interestingly, when I brought it back and actually started looking, you could see this one has also been helicoiled. Not really surprising, being this car was actually originally built in 1988. There were a few things that I'd actually missed, which I'm quite pleased now that I've actually had to rebuild this again. One of them, thank you very much. I'll put your name here, if I can work out how to do that. Mentioned that I forgot the washers on the head, and I probably would have had to take, not the head off necessarily, but I probably would have had to loosen off the bolts to put on the washers, and I put it back down. Not sure if that probably wouldn't have broken the actual gasket, but still, thank you very much. I have now dug out those washers and I will be putting them back on. So, cheers. Look. Yes. Done. 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 Yes. Look at that. Thank goodness. All done up. First, we're going to add the distributor drive gear. You try saying that 3 times after a couple of pints. Distributor drive gear. Just put your finger over plug 1. Rotate the crankshaft until you can feel compression. Oh! It worked! Use a screwdriver through the plug hole to feel the movement of the piston. Be careful not to damage the piston or crown or plug threads in the cylinder head. That sounds dodgy as. Now, smart me. I actually left on the guide to find top dead centre. I know top dead centre is bang up the top here. So I do not need to put a screwdriver in that hole to scratch up the brand new pistons. It's got to go down here with the larger part here away from the engine, i.e. that, at 2 and 8. 12 there, 2 about there, I'd probably say, about there. Right, now I could just drop it. Don't like the idea of that either, especially when they show a little a bolt to go in the top. I'm going to lower it down with some needles. Needle nose pliers between 2 and 8. As I turn the engine now, you can see the drive gear is actually turning, which is good. Now, a big shout out to Seaside Garage, who sort of explained how you actually ensure you've got the right clearances and when you actually do the clearances. And what they called it was the value of 9. So basically, what I've done here is I've quickly labelled this for yourself and me to make sure I don't mess it up. But when the 8th valve is down or open, which basically means that the spring is fully compressed, you have to adjust number 1, because 8 plus 1 equals 9. Yeah, quick maths test. Right, so, like I said, when 8 is fully compressed, this thing here, you sort out number 1. Likewise, when 7 is fully compressed, 2, 7 plus 2, 9, 6 fully compressed, 3, 5, 4,
and the opposite way around, obviously. So if 4 is fully compressed, you can do the 5, 3, 6, and all the way through. So I'm going to start that. So let's kick off. Bit of elbow grease. First things first, have to turn the crank. As you turn it, you'll see all the valves moving up and down. We are waiting for valve 8 to start compressing. So there we go. It's starting to compress. Starting to compress. 8 is now fully compressed. So you can see now the spring is down. Yeah. So now, because 8 is compressed, we adjust number 1. So you take off the locking nut. You put in your measuring gauge. And then what you do is you then adjust this part here, making sure you're pushing down here to make sure there's no sort of clearance. So you've got your push rod coming up here, adjusted, that's good. And once you're happy, you can add the locking nut after. I think it's a bit too loose. Got to feel this is a bit of a trial and error. I think that's pretty good. All done. All these valves, valve clearances are correct. So I will recheck these when the engine goes back into the car, but it's great progress. So I've just applied gasket maker to the timing cover, then fit that on before I could fit the sump, because I didn't quite realise it was actually a sort of rubber gasket which goes around the end of the timing cover. So on it goes. Timing cover done. Right, back to my initial plan, get that sump on. So you have to have the timing cover on before you can put the sump back on, because there's a groove here, which is actually part of the timing cover, which matches the groove here. And you have these gasket-like things here, which sit one there, one there, much like that. And again, on the C1J, interestingly, you don't actually have a gasket which goes on here. So you've got to use, like the gasket maker, interesting, without putting any of the gasket maker on the engine. All right, that's my next part. And that really does look like an engine, huh? In the crown. New gasket also added. Done. Right, engine done. For now, I'm going to pop the old spark plugs back in and cover up any holes, just because the engine is now likely to sit in the corner for a while. I was recommended on getting some of those like silicone things you get for trainers, just to keep moisture out, and actually pop them in certain places, like, I don't know, around the back near where the exhaust is, just to, so, you know, avoid, or to reduce the amount of moisture getting to the engine while it sits there. So I'll probably do that as well. Any other recommendations? Come on, let me know. Pop those in the comments. But that, I'm very pleased to say, and I'm sure you're quite relieved, is the last one really of the engine for now, until we get to pop it back into the car, which I can't wait. So thanks for bearing with me. I do appreciate it.